In this lecture video, we're going to actually start out with a quote from the comedian Jerry Seinfeld, who said, according to most studies, people's number one fear is public speaking.
I like these somewhat high-risk things, the scuba, I've gone hang gliding, I've gone skydiving. I like a little bit of risk. I don't know, maybe that's why I do this. I saw a thing, actually, a study that said speaking in front of a crowd is considered the number one fear of the average person. I found that amazing. Number two was death. Death is number two? This means to the average person, if you have to be at a funeral, you would rather be in the casket than doing the eulogy.
Hopefully, you guys are laughing at that and not feeling totally terrified, but it is true that a lot of people fear public speaking. In fact, 3 out of every 4 individuals suffer from speech anxiety, and up to 5% of the world's population, hundreds of millions of people between the ages of 18 and 54, experience this kind of social phobia in any given year, and women and men are equally affected. So today what we want to do is we want to learn to identify communication apprehension and then also figure out how to control our communication apprehension. So let's start out with identifying what communication apprehension is. Richmond and McCroskey are 2 communication scholars, and they define communication apprehension as the perceived fear or anxiety associated with real or anticipated communication. Now, I emphasize the word perceived in that definition because it starts to explain to us what communication apprehension is. Perceived basically means that we become aware of something. And so when we are fearful or anxious over speaking in front of others, we become aware of our anxiety. But because it is perceived, we can also manage this. It isn't a real threat. What's actually happening? Whenever we are afraid of something or confronted with some type of threat, our body starts pumping adrenaline. And that adrenaline gives us the energy in order to stay and fight that threat or to run away from it. In other words, all that's happening is chemistry. It's just a natural chemical reaction in the body that our body pumps in order to survive that perceived threat. It's that fight or flight response that our ancestors used when they were confronted with saber-toothed tigers. Now, hopefully, you guys aren't going to use your adrenaline to run and flee from your speech, but we want to figure out how to harness that adrenaline to help us deal with that speech.